charging forward, grabbing them, sending them flying through the air before dislocating the arms with one of the most perfect submission setups in the game. A unicorn comes and is never seen again. What do you think of that?
It's pretty corny. Cool. Ronda Rousey, talking about Ronda Rousey today. Once in a lifetime athlete, came about at the perfect time, ushered in women's MMA, and what a ride she had.
Greatest athlete I've ever worked with. And women's fighting is where it is today because of her. Great human being, brilliant. Yeah. The greatest athlete I've ever worked with.
And now she's totally fallen out of favor with the world.
That's what Ronda Rousey wants. All the credit, none of the blame. I want credit for all my wins. My losses, I had CTE and I had this and I had that. I'm the greatest to ever do it. But when it didn't work, it was so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and never me. She never gives credit to the people who actually beat her.
I just feel really lucky I got to see the whole thing. I was there in person for her first UFC fight against Liz Carmouche in Anaheim, California. I went with my dad. The room was electric. Everyone was in on her. She judo tossed Liz Carmouche, ended with an armbar. Everybody thought she was so incredible. I was also there, her last fight in the UFC against Amanda Nunez in Vegas, which was like a funeral procession. She came out, everybody's hyped, there's little girls in her shirts, and then she got beat up, she got punched up. The fight stopped standing, a very rare standing knockout.
Good stoppage.
Good stoppage. The ref was just like, don't do this. And then the entire arena filled out silently. The arena in Vegas that goes directly into a casino, and people in the casino felt it. Like we're all just walking like a funeral procession, just ooh. Since then, she's done some other things. She was in WWE. I didn't see any of it. I guess it was all right. She tried to write some books. I guess they're all right. She complained a lot, talked a lot of smack about people that, we like. It's been wild to watch.
It has been wild to watch. And in researching this, most that is written or recorded about Ronda Rousey is absolute fire and hate. Fire and hate for her. We're going to try not to just do fire and hate. We'll, of course, address the fire and hate because when she talks, she is an easy person to dislike.
Yeah.
But her body of work is incredible.
Yeah.
It was unprecedented. She is a pioneer in the game and deserves some credit for that.
Yeah.
I think she would have benefited from not speaking English.
Yeah.
Goes in, flips a girl on her head, armbars her in the perfect armbar, and people have studied this armbar. This armbar was introduced to her by her mother, who was also a judo champion. I think she was the first to win. I think it was called some kind of cup in judo. She was one of the first Americans to win it. She taught Ronda, her daughter, to come up and perfect this amazing armbar. Ronda actually came third place in the Olympics. What did Eddie Bravo say about Ronda's armbar?
Eddie Bravo's been on the record saying that Ronda has the best armbar he's ever felt. And Eddie Bravo's definitely felt some of the best armbars in the world. And so he even says, he goes, sorry to all the Brazilians, she's the best.
And Ronda, she's not even messing with rear naked chokes. She's going straight to the armbar position. And in my opinion, I think not only does she have the best armbar in female MMA, but I think in the entire MMA world, her armbar is the best. She's been everybody with the armbar. I've been in her armbars personally. I've had her start in the armbar position, in the spiderweb position here, and I can't escape. It's incredible the way she takes that armbar apart.
She would just rush forward, flip someone on her head, armbar them, break their arm, dislocate their arm, and then go do a modeling shoot after.
Which even at the time, people were saying would be the downfall of her, because when she was champion, she was fighting regularly, starring in movies, doing photo shoots, just kind of doing too many things, right? If you want to be a real UFC champion, that's kind of the only thing you can do. And people started saying, oh, maybe her boxing will be her downfall. And history showed that that was the case.
Yeah, boxing was her downfall. Her downfall was really just she started to face better opponents. Like she was in the UFC at a time when women's MMA was just, the skill level was on such a sharp rise that she just wasn't able to keep up anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go through a list of just her fights, her wins. So let's see. Number 1, Idine Gomez, KOTC, March 27, 2011. Submission, armbar, 25 seconds, first round. Charmaine Tweet, June 17, 2011. Armbar, 47 seconds, first round. Sarah Dalelo. Submission, armbar, 25 seconds, round 1. Julia Budd, armbar, 39 seconds, round 1. Misha Tate, armbar, 4:27 of round 1. This was a nasty armbar. We thought her arm was broken. Misha Tate said, no, my arm wasn't broken, but my ligaments were torn, my muscles were torn, everything was torn inside of her arm except for broken bones.
Yeah.
So
Misha Tate was like her first like good rival. Misha Tate was a pretty well-rounded fighter. Kind of up there in the best women to fight in the UFC. And so that was their first fight in Strikeforce, and they would continue to fight again. Always a fun time.
Sarah Kaufman, armbar, round 1, 54 seconds. Liz Carmouche in the UFC. So she comes into the UFC, round 1, 4:49, armbar. So, you know, step up in competition. It takes her a little bit longer to get the armbar. Misha Tate, round 3. At 58 seconds,
3.
armbar.
Misha Tate, the legend.
Sarah McMahon, knee to the body, 1 minute 6 seconds. Alexis Davis, at 16 seconds, round 1, punches. Kat Zingano, 14 seconds of round 1, armbar.
That was wild. That's when she ran at her.
Betch Gohara, KO, round 1, at 34 seconds.
I remember watching that with a group of people, and they're like, we're going to hold our breath for the whole fight. That's when like her hype was the biggest, and it paid off. It was true. And go. Betch Gohara waits forward. Ronda pieces her up. 34 seconds finish. And I believe that was the last time we saw.
That was the last time she won.
That was her peak.
Yeah. It reminds me of. It almost reminds me of Mike Tyson's run.
Yeah.
In boxing, just somebody was doing something so unheard of. Like Mike Tyson was just coming in and with such speed and such power, he was just beating guys up, and he wasn't, I guess, doing the boxing dance that people were used to. They weren't used to being hit by something like that. And Ronda was the same way. She had like this clinch. She would toss them and then straight into armbar, and perfect every time. Everybody knew it was coming, but you couldn't stop it.
What are you gonna do? Until
until Holly Holm. Oof. So with Holly Holm, I found out that Greg Jackson had figured out how Ronda clinches.
She never shoots for doubles. She's not taking you down with a lower body attack. It's always upper body, and it's always a clinch. And she clinches with her left arm. I mean, Greg Jackson and Jackson Winklejohn, they all figured that out, and Holly had the solution for that.
And Holly Holm even showed in the fight that she was able to escape from Ronda on the bottom. And at one point, towards the end of the round, she even took Ronda down. Yeah, she took Ronda down.
No one thought that was possible.
Yes. Before this match, I think I don't remember if it was before the Betch Gohara or after, where Ronda came on the Joe Rogan podcast with Edmund, and she mentioned something that once she puts those gloves on, she feels like she could rob a liquor store.
She revealed that she loves inhabiting the body of a ninja, saying she could rob a liquor store with her bare hands if she wanted to.
Yeah. Feeling invincible is a very dangerous thing in a world of fighting.
It is, because it's the game of hurting each other. So
yeah,
it's the game of hurting each other and exploiting weaknesses that you could see. Ronda at this point had already had 12 fights on record that could be studied by everybody coming up, and this is the challenge for any champion. Now you are being studied. People know how you move. People know how you walk. When you step the right foot forward, they get a sense of your timing. There's footage out there on you, so somebody is going to study it. The information is already there. Holly Holm comes in, a well-decorated boxer and kickboxer. Oof. One of my friends, he mentioned Holly Holm is the most underrated combat women's athlete of all time.
Maybe.
I think she had something like, she'd already had somewhere upwards of 50 fights already going into the UFC. Ronda and her had a bit of a mix-up in the weigh-ins.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ronda got, I think, when they do this thing, I think Holly's fist maybe touched Ronda's face, and she didn't take kindly to that, and she started swearing at her after, saying, "I see through your nice girl. You're fake."
I just wanted to get in her face and show her that I was there for a reason. She's the one that put the fist on my face. I didn't touch her. She's the one that touched me, and I told her that fake sweet act is, I see right through it. I really do. It was all fake. All until now. All that respect, all that everything, all you being sweet. I see right now that it's fake, and you're going to get it on Sunday. You're not the first person that thought that you had the perfect plan to beat me. It's not the first time your camp thought that they had the perfect plan to beat me. I'm going to show you on Sunday why I'm the champ.
Maybe this was Ronda trying to motivate herself. Anyways, she comes into the match, fired up, and her boxing is completely exposed. She's throwing punches, and Holly Holm is not there. Like, it's almost like she's throwing punches at air. She later goes on to say she might have been concussed prior to that. Holly Holm went on the record saying, "Sure, I've been concussed. Like, concussions are part of MMA. Everybody gets concussed. That's what we're actually trying to do to each other."
Yeah.
Every fighter at this point, if you've made a career of fighting, you've had a concussion at some point. You go back and look at some of my boxing fights and some of the things that I've done, I've definitely had some concussions. So I'll never sit here and use that as an excuse for any loss. And I think that it's probably just hard for her to really want to maybe admit that. I was just the better fighter. Was she so dominant and a good champion? 100%. I give her that. But she wasn't better than me.
Nobody likes to hear excuses, even if they're real.
No.
Unless my weight cut was bad.
Yeah, unless you win.
This isn't.
Yeah, you can make excuses if you win.
After you win.
Yeah, after you win, you can make excuses, but you cannot make excuses after you lose. Nobody wants to hear it.
Yeah.
So.
Especially the interview in question was years later. It's like it can be interesting. It can add to the story, but there's no sympathy. You're coming into a fight injured. Everybody comes into a fight injured.
Yeah.
Weight cut was bad. Every weight cut's bad.
Yeah. Very few athletes are going to come into a match with everything like, wow, I feel awesome today. This is There's always something. There's always something. So after that match, she takes a long time off. She's questioned. Oh, we didn't get into the finish. Sorry.
Yeah, what happened?
Head kick. The head kick that was heard around the world.
Beautiful, perfect head kick.
And now leading up to this head kick, it was crazy that Ronda had become this huge superstar. Like, she was by far the biggest star in MMA. Mm-hmm. Like, she was coming on the Tonight Show.
I feel like she's going to try and keep distance and keep far away from me and get me frustrated to a point I'll make a mistake and she can try and kick me in the head, but it's not going to go like that. Not the way that she wants.
She made an appearance on the Ellen Show, George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva. They never came on the Ellen Show, So
she was an entourage.
Yeah, she became like a pop figure, I saw girls in Taipei, maybe at least on one occasion, wearing a Ronda Rousey. What's her name again?
Rousey.
Rowdy
Ronda.
Yes. Rowdy Ronda Rousey shirt. Crazy. Wearing it was just crazy too. Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Yeah, so her rise, I think we don't, as much as hate as she gets and as much as some of it, I wouldn't say is deserved, but maybe she expected too much from people to love her for herself. Yeah. People don't know you. They're not going to love you for yourself. They love you because you're winning. and because of what you mean to them as this person that can dominate in such a difficult sport.
Yeah.
Once you start to lose, you're not that person anymore, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
Really.
If you're winning with a bad attitude, it's pretty cool. If you're losing with a bad attitude, it's kind of gross.
People start to turn their backs on you. People are like, this is so distasteful. But when you're winning, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to hear a winner talking trash. Talking about how big she was. Before she came onto the scene, Dana White was asked whether he would have a women's MMA division. Do you remember this?
Yeah. This is never.
Never.
When are we going to see women in the UFC, man?
Never.
Anytime soon? Never?
Never. Never.
Yeah, what a stupid idea.
Yeah.
Why would I ever do that?
Which is like a fun thing about Dana White. Like he can say crazy things like that and then just reverse it and be like, yeah, I was wrong.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yes.
And now there's the women division are here to stay. And so her legacy is incredibly important. It's helped so many women reach high levels. But I'm not interested in hearing anything from Ronda ever again. God forbid she tries to make a comeback. That'd be not good. She's putting out books. I'm not really interested. She's coming on podcasts. Maybe it'd be all right if she did Joe Rogan. It'd be interesting. But excuses and stories and bad attitude, it's not that interesting. Her highlight reel, though, is incredibly interesting. I could watch her judo throws all the time. Researching this, that was the best part. Watching her just toss girls. Even just like training with her coach. She trained with Justin Flores, who's like one of the coolest guys in jiu-jitsu now, J-Flow Judo. Just watching them train is like so incredible. It's amazing to watch.
I also got to listen to the song Unstoppable a record number of times. Well, but back to her fighting story. Ronda takes some time off after the knockout, rightfully so. It was kind of deemed by some people to be a fluke, because it's hard to believe that somebody that's so good and so dominant can lose. Her comeback is to not a person that, a tune-up fight, Amanda Nunez.
Oof.
Which some people had already considered Amanda Nunez to be her most dangerous possible opponent even before the Holly Holm match. You had people thinking, Ronda's just going to walk in and get her belt back.
It did not work out that way.
Did she get her belt back?
She did not get her belt back. She got punched in the face. I wish I knew the number. I'm going to say 1,000 times in about 12 seconds.
Yes. It was.
She got pieced up.
It was almost a faster and more violent repeat of the Holly Holm match, where she just looked like she didn't belong in there. She looked very outclassed. Women's MMA really caught up to her. She's facing Amanda Nunez, who has serious power in her hands, and she's a jiu-jitsu black belt, and she's an amazing grappler.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't see the chances of her just throwing her on her head and throwing her into an armbar.
No. Yeah, and we know now Amanda Nunez went on to defend that belt many, many times. She went up a weight class to get another one. She's probably the best women's champion that the UFC's had, her or Valentina Shevchenko.
Yes.
We didn't know that at the time, but we knew she was the hardest hitting woman probably in UFC history still.
Yeah. And she was
knocked out Cyborg.
Yeah, she was the champion at that time. Well, she destroyed Cyborg, and Cyborg was like the monster of she was the boogeyman.
Yeah.
Rousey loses to the greatest of all time. She takes some more time off. She goes into WWE, which to me sounds like a good place to get a lot of concussions in the WWE, depending on her style.
Yeah.
But I believe that.
I think if you go in a superstar, they take good care of you.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good too.
I think it can be a little safer than it seems.
After that, it didn't seem like she wanted to make a comeback. I think she had a child. She had a miscarriage. She did have one of the most amazing runs, and she should be recognized for that.
Absolutely.
Everybody loses. If your run is long enough, everybody's going to lose. The conclusion to every great fighter's arc is they lose in destructive fashion by a new, young up-and-comer that wants it more than them, that doesn't have any Lamborghinis, that doesn't sleep in silk sheets, and that only thinks about fighting. So this is the end for all fighters who will continue. Either you retire early at a perfect time, kind of like what GSP did, kind of like what Khabib did.
Yeah.
If you're active, it's going to happen. You're going to lose. You could lose basketball games. You could lose 5 games in a season. You're fine. You could still, people will still wear your jersey.
Sure.
But as a fighter, you lose 3 fights in a row, you're a bum. You're garbage.
Yeah, not many people singing BJ Penn's
You were
praises.
never good. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
unfortunately.
yeah, nobody looks back at the footage. They remember the ending. So, Ronda Rousey, we still salute you. What you did was great. Hopefully you're okay.
Yeah,
Don't make
delete
any
Instagram.
excuses.
You don't need to be there.
Yeah, don't stop with the excuses.
Yeah.
They could all be true, but nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Ronda Rousey, the unicorn. We'll never see another one. It was great to watch while it happened.
Yeah.
It was very exciting.
Thanks for watching. Taipei BJJ, Tarek Finn, Marshall Stanford.